Hi y'all, this is Angie with Reads with A and A. Again, my name is Angie and I'm one of the co-hosts of this channel. You'll see Ashton in some other videos as well as in some combined videos with me. So it's kind of like a two-in-one deal. Feel free to stick around, feel free to subscribe. We're going to have a lot of fun this week. This week we are doing Kindle Unlimited reads. So it's going to be a week of just reading Kindle Unlimited books, which I'm super excited about. I'm sure other people have done this before, but I personally have never seen it. So I'm super excited. So over the week, I have been absolutely scouring Kindle Unlimited, trying to find authors I've never heard of, books I've never heard of, as well as a couple books that I've been highly anticipating or heard people talking about on TikTok or YouTube. And I am super excited for this. I put them all in a Word document, printed it out, cut them up, and stuck them in a jar. So we are going to be picking them out of a jar, kind of like a TBR jar, and I will read it, update you a couple times throughout, depending on how fast I read it. After I let you know my thoughts, we'll draw another book out of the jar, do the same process until the week is over. So it could be one read, it could be 5. I'm aiming for about 3. But I am super excited. I decided to do this because I don't feel like I utilize my Kindle Unlimited subscription enough, and I don't want to be paying for something that I'm not using. So as much as I want to get through my physical TBR, I'm going to be working on Kindle Unlimited this week, which I'm super excited about, especially because all of these books that I put in the jar, I don't have access to. Otherwise, I don't have that physical book, and sometimes they're not available in the library. Plus, I just want to discover new favorite authors. Sue me. So let's go ahead. Let's pick out our first read, and we'll start it. Okay, guys. So this is my jar. It's a very huge jar, by the way. I have a fat hand, but like, look at this. Okay, not looking. Okay. Well, if it doesn't fall. Okay, we have Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. I have a lot of this extra stuff on here, so I put what it is. So it listed on Amazon as a romantic thriller, and that's 448 pages, so it is a pretty chunky / normal size book. I feel like the average book is 300 to 400 pages, and then as we start to breach 500, that's where it gets chunkier, so it's about right there in the middle. I am going to read what this is about with you because I have absolutely no clue. But this is an author I've never read from before, in a book I hadn't heard of until I put it on this list. So I had to look it up on my iPad because my phone is what is filming, which is why the lighting is so bad. Plus it's like 8 p.m. I didn't know. I was going to say 10 p.m. anyway. So it seems like maybe it is a little bit popular. It has 15,441 ratings, with 2,408 of those being reviews. The average star rating is 4.1. That is insanely good. I personally think that if I ever wrote a book, the average star rating would be 2 stars. So, I mean, that is a good majority of these people loving this book, so I'm actually really excited now. So I will read to you what it is about. In Fiasco, Kentucky, there is one rule: never fall for a fox brother. Any woman who did ended up dead, or so the rumor goes. Townies call it a curse, but I've lived it and I won't survive it again. I'm not a cop anymore, but I've seen enough danger to know that Lainey Young, the beautiful stranger who showed up in my small town, is running from it. She's lying about where she came from and what she's doing here. I don't want her near my family or the quiet life I've made for myself, but my brothers have other plans. Now she's everywhere, working at my distillery, living in our guest house, calling me cowboy, and skinny dipping in my horse trough. But it's the way she dishes out attitude from the pretty mouth of hers that has me wanting things I've swore to myself that I'd never want again. I should push her away, forget how her lips taste, and ignore how she makes me want more out of life. When her past shows up and mingles too closely with mine, her lies begin to unravel. The rules don't matter anymore. I mess up, dig too far, and get too close. Only two things have the power to keep her safe now: bourbon and lies. Okay, so that actually sounds really good. It sounds right up my alley. I'm very interested. And from the looks of it, it actually looks like there is three books, but the third book has not been released yet. So if I do like this one, I will have two more to add to my future TBR. Okay, well, that is so exciting. So I have made it 25% into Bourbon and Lies, and I'm really, really liking it. So we're seeing dual points of views from our main female character and our main male character. And you watch the male character start to pretty much have a crush on our main female character. But due to some traumatic events that happened in his past, he is trying to really, really avoid um, getting with her or getting to know her. And you also watch him try to figure out, where did she come from? Who is she? Why is she living in my brother's house? And then from the other point of view, you kind of watch the main female character also start to crush on our male character, but she's also trying to protect herself because she's been through some very, very traumatic things. And there's kind of a little bit of a mystery with it. You're kind of trying to solve what really happened to our main female character. The author's writing is really well done. It has not bored me once yet, and I am truly enjoying it. So, like I said, I'm 25% in. I'm hoping to get even further than that today, but we will see. Okay, I have officially finished Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. Like I mentioned previously, it's 448 pages, but it's so fast paced and I absolutely loved it. I flew through it in a day. I highly recommend if you're looking for your next small town cowboy romance that has a mystery element to it, this is your go to book. I'm definitely adding the next one to my TBR, and it seems like they're interconnected standalones, so you don't have to commit to a full series. So this is just perfect. So I'm assuming there's going to be three books. There could be four. But I figure there's going to be a book for every brother, and there's three Bourbon brothers. But there is also a grandfather who may or may not have his own love story. So far, I do know she is currently coming out with a third one, so we know there will at least be three. But like I said, I highly recommend this book. So I feel like the first 25-50% is extremely tension filled and it's really entertaining and I love it. And then the last 50%, they are starting to fall for each other, but not just that. There's the mystery element that happens throughout the book, and it comes to play at the end, and it's kind of high stakes. It is intense at some points, and I just really loved it. I'm not sure how in the world she is going to do her next book because this one was just too good, and I'm just hoping that the next one doesn't fall flat because I don't know how authors do it, like how they just have these amazing, amazing ideas that come into play, and then they're able to follow that up with more stories in the same town, in the same place, but following different characters. And I'm so excited to see the story from Lincoln's point of view and who he ends up with. Um, anyway, I would say there was a couple elements that didn't make sense to me, just a couple. And they were very, very minor, I feel like, and I can't really say them because they are spoilers, but I will say that I am giving this book a 4.5 star. And like I said, I highly, highly recommend you read this book. It was so, so good. But with that being said, let's go ahead and pick our next Kindle read. So, like I mentioned previously, all these books are on Kindle Unlimited in the US at this current time, and I am trying to utilize my Kindle Unlimited subscription. So, let's go ahead and pick our next read. White Horse, Black Knight by Evie Marciu. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but it is a folklore fantasy novel and it's 416 pages. Okay. Um, I'm not typically the biggest fan of folklore, but I told myself I would give it more tries. So I really do hope I like this. Let's go ahead and see what this book is about. So, White Horse Black Knight seems to be about a girl who is held captive for many, many years. I believe it said 12. And the only people she can talk with, well, really the only things she can talk with are the animals. And she communicates to them through her magic. And then somehow she is sold to the villainous High Lord as his bride, and she is held captive there as a prisoner. And her greatest fear is being a prisoner that's just traded for another prisoner. There's something going on where she's trying to escape, and it says that it's more of an enemies to lovers fantasy romance, which I typically vibe with a lot more. So I'm more excited about that. So I found all of like the descriptions and things I wrote for these books on Amazon. And Amazon listed it as a folklore. So we will see what it is once I start reading. To me, the description was kind of hard to understand. Sometimes descriptions are for me, like I just truly don't understand what I'm reading, but then I read the book and it makes perfect sense. That may just be a me thing. But anyway, I'm more excited for it now. It has around 11,000 ratings, with the average star rating being a 3.19, which is not bad. That's pretty average. And if I rate a book 3 stars, that means I liked it. I don't think 3 stars is a bad rating. So let's get into this one and see what it's all about. I have made it to the 25% mark in White Horse Black Knight, and I am enjoying it much more than I originally thought I would. Honestly, I judge the book by the cover, and the cover is not my favorite. But so far, the story is really, really good. So, we're following our main character, Sabine, and the story starts off where her father has already sold her to the villainous High Lord, and he is making her ride naked on horseback to his lands, which is days and days of riding. And she is being escorted by his most trusted soldier, which is Wolf. And of course, they're not getting along. Both Sabine and Wolf are god kissed. God kissed are pretty rare in these lands. It's only one in every 1,000 children that are born that are god kissed, and it shows up as in a special birthmark. So all these so the abilities of the god kissed range anywhere from just being able to change the color of something to being the strongest person alive or being able to control things with their mind. So it's just dependent upon who has what power. However, regardless of the power the god kissed are given, they are still very, very, very highly desired, and everybody wants to be married to somebody who is god kissed. So that's kind of where our story starts. In the 25% that I have read, they are still traveling to the villainous High Lord's land. So we have not officially met him yet. We've only heard about him. However, we are really getting to know Sabine and Wolf very well. And we see dual points of views for both of them, which I truly enjoy. I like seeing how they each think. Sabine's special gift is she can talk to animals. So that is like a very, very, very fun thing to read about is how these animals think of her, think of Wolf, and how no matter how dangerous the animal is, they all kind of bend to her desire because she's so kind to them. I love the aspect of her talking to the animals. It kind of reminds me of Snow White, which is super fun, but it's its own story in and of itself. And I cannot wait to keep reading and find out how the story is going to go from here. I don't know what is in the water with these Kindle Unlimited books right now, but I just think I found another very high star rating. I am 57% into White Horse Black Knights, and it says it's a dark, forbidden fantasy romance. I definitely feel like it's more romance than anything. I feel like it's a romance with a side plot of fantasy, at least at this point, but I am not mad about it. I am head over heels for this story, okay? So, without saying any spoilers, let me just read you this quote really quick. Whatever bounty you thought she was worth, I assure you, she's worth it 100 times over. I would tear the living world down to the gods' underrealm for her, and I'll happily butcher you. Okay, I am in love. Again, the tension in this book is absolutely eating. I don't know how this book is going to end, but I'm hoping and praying that it is just like the first 57%. I have not been able to put this book down. Every time that I have today, I have literally been thinking about reading it, wanting to read it. I am so excited to have liked both books that I have read so far, and I just hope that the rest will be just as good. I will update you as soon as I finish this. I am just so excited. This is so fun. Okay, I have finished the book. And I fear that I am just creating more of a mess for myself because every time I have finished one of these books, I have now added like the rest of the series to my TBR. So, anyway, so I went from getting two off of my TBR to adding like five, six, I don't know how many are in the series. But can I say that I absolutely loved White Horse Black Knights? Now, it may not be a fan favorite for everybody. I think that the beginning is really heavy on the romance, and you really don't see any of the fantasy or any of the folklore till about the last 25 to 50%. But I'm not mad about it. I feel like the next book is going to be more fantasy and folklore heavy because it's like we're finally starting to get into the nitty gritty of things. But I think it might set us up for the perfect story. This book you're definitely not going to be able to read as a standalone. So if you are interested in reading White Horse Black Knights, prepare yourself to read a series. I'm not sure how many books are in this series, but I highly recommend Sabine and Wolf's story. I am honestly so excited to get into the second book. I may, if it's also on Kindle Unlimited or also out, I don't know, I haven't looked it up. I may have to add it to my April TBR as well because it was so fun. I I highly recommend giving it a try if you like romantasy. Like I said, it's more romance in the beginning and more fantasy romance folklore towards the end. But I feel like this is setting us up for a really great series. And, well, I'm just looking forward to all the fun. With that being said, let's go ahead and draw our third Kindle Unlimited read for this challenge. It's so impossible to not look what I'm drawing. Okay. Of Night and Blood by Bria Lamb. 477 pages in a dark fantasy. The book I just read, White Horse Black Knights, is a 3-book series. So far, it looks like there's only 3 out. So hopefully, it's it looks like it might just be those 3 and all are published, which is amazing. I am super excited if it truly is just a 3-book series because it means that all are published. It's a very small series to commit to, and it means that I don't have to wait years and years and years for the next book in the series. Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros. Anyway, so the next book in the series is called Silver Wings Golden Games, and the third book is called Steel Heart Iron Claws. And they even have better ratings. Like, so the first book's average rating is 3.79. I truly think I might be giving this book a 5 star. I want to sit on it for a day or two and just see if it's the hype of finishing the book. But the second book's average rating is 4.13, and the third book's average rating is 4.28. I might be the biggest fangirl on the planet for her then, because I don't understand how anybody could rate this book less than a 4. Anyway, okay, I get it actually, because there's really not a plot in the beginning, it's all just romance, but I'm in the books for the vibes, okay? Look at this cover. Holy guacamole, that is absolutely gorgeous. I'm obsessed, so I really hope I love this book. I love a good book cover. Anyway, so it only has 504 ratings and 169 reviews, but the average star rating is 4.08. That's great. I love that. So it is a fantasy romance and enemies to lovers, one of my favorite tropes. Asher Dayanex was an anomaly, feared and worshipped by her kind for a power previously unheard of. The princess of the Fey realm sought nothing more than to prove that she could rule with a just and strong hand. That was worthy of the title of queen. Yet, as her impending marriage to a young mortal prince draws nearer, she finds herself dreaming of a different life, one ruled by her own wants and needs. But, with a power as dangerous as hers, would she do more harm than good if left unchecked? And if she does not find allies in the mortals, how will the Fae survive the savage demons to the west? With a handsome stranger urges Asher to question her world and choose those within it, to trust the power she feared for so long, the princess is forced to reevaluate her life and continually put it in jeopardy. Will she follow the orders of the king and queen who raised her, who always knew best, or will she follow her heart, which might lead her to a fate she cannot survive? As lies, betrayal, and danger find her at every corner, Asher must make a choice, for if she does not, the imminent war will. Watch this whole video just be me rating every book I read 5 stars. Me rating every book I read 4.5 stars. Like, it's so exciting, and I purely read for the vibes. So if you're more of a harsher reader, you may not like the reads that I recommend. However, I do think that they're so fun and that everybody should give them a try, especially if you're into romance and mystery or romantasy. There are 2 books in this video that fit those categories quite well, and 2 authors who aren't that popular yet. I say yeah because I'm rooting for them. But that's enough rambling. Let's get to a percentage update. Okay, so this update is definitely not the best update that I could be giving right now. However, not yesterday, but the day before, I did not read at all. I just had a lot going on, and I just was not in the mood to read, honestly. And then yesterday, I only made it about 12% in the new book. However, I am starting to enjoy it. I feel like it didn't grasp me right away. I think the 12% mark is about 65 pages according to my Kindle. And like I said, it didn't grab me right away. However, now I'm starting to like it more. I do like that the main character is not just our typical shaped main character. She's described as more of a mid-sized character, which I do particularly like. So I know it's a fantasy book. I'm not too sure on the world yet. I know we have the Fey realm and then we have like the mortal realm. And the whole book, or the concept, is combining the two through marriage of our main character and then the mortal prince. to try and unite to fight against the demon realm. However, so far, the book has only really described the castle or the mansion that the main character is currently living in. And it's giving kind of like a Regency vibe. And those are my favorite types of books. So I am really loving that. The part that's throwing me off just a tad is the fact that I feel like I already know what's going to happen and I'm already 65 pages in. I feel like unless the author has been trying to throw us for a loop, she hinted very well at exactly what the plot twist is going to be. That might be crazy. We already see who the love interest is, and spoiler alert, it's not the prince. I mean, it's pretty evident she hates the prince from page one, so it's not really a spoiler. Maybe other people just won't grasp it, but I think it's there, literally in black and white, exactly what's going to be happening for the plot twist. And I love the idea of it being the plot twist. However, I'm like, how is this going to play out if you've already told me what's going on? I'm not going to be shocked. Am I not supposed to be shocked when it happens? And I guess maybe she'll throw me for a loop, or maybe she'll play it out to where I will still enjoy it, even though I feel like I know what might be happening. I guess we just need to get a little bit further in to really see what might be going on. Okay, so I have officially made it 35% into Of Night and Blood by Bria Lamb, and I would say I am enjoying it. It is for sure a slower start than the last two books I've read for this vlog. However, I would say we are just now starting to get into the good stuff, the juicy stuff. My theory for what the plot twist was just happened. So I would say that we were actually intended to understand that it was probably going to happen. It was just that the main character didn't know. Um, or it could have been a surprise for some people. It just wasn't a surprise for me. But the way it played out, I mostly enjoyed. There were some things. At some points, I'm like, the story's moving too fast. At some points, I'm like, the story's moving too slow. And then at others, I'm like, the timeline just didn't make sense, or that didn't make sense to me. However, well, I would say that the writing style is not my favorite. The plot is starting to get interesting, and I am starting to enjoy it. I have no clue if I'm going to be wanting to go into the second book of this series until I finish this. Um, but so far, so good. I would say that where we're at now is highly, highly interesting. The MMC of our story seems to be obsessed with the female main character, and she absolutely wants nothing to do with him. I would definitely advise you to check the trigger warnings. I didn't, but I really don't have any triggers unless it comes to child abuse, um, or I don't really like horror. However, I would say there is more darker elements. We're only 35% in, and I would already say that there has been physical abuse and sexual abuse detailed within the story to some degree. I wouldn't say it's the most horrific detailing, but it is very prominent. It does take up about a full page in one scene, or what I would assume is a full page in a physical book. So just note that before you read it. I really have no guesses on how this story is going to play out, other than it is probably going to be some form of a romance. I truly don't know how to feel with how the storyline is going. Like, a part of me likes it, but then the other part of me just doesn't understand. And maybe that's the point. We're supposed to be kept in the dark, like many other books. It's just, it feels kind of weird about it with this book. But again, that's not to say I'm not enjoying the book. I really am. It's definitely, if it keeps going this way, it's definitely going to be 3 stars or higher, which means I'll more than likely continue to the next book. Even if I do end up giving this book 3 stars, 3 stars is a really good rating for me. That's not bad by any means. If I rate a book 3 stars, that means I enjoyed it. Probably just wasn't my cup of tea. If I rate a book 3.5 or higher, that means I really, really did like it. I am really interested to see where this story takes us. Unfortunately, this is the end of the video, so if you want to know my full review on this book, you will have to wait until my April wrap up. I do apologize. There are just other videos I want to film, and I have already made it past the 7-day mark. I was kind of slacking a little bit this vlog, so I do apologize. If you're interested in any of these books, I highly recommend that you check them out and give them a try for yourself. This video has been more than successful, so highly recommend any book you see in this vlog. If you have any suggestions on books I should read next or videos I should film, feel free to drop them in the comments. And if you have read any of these books and you enjoyed them, let me know. Thanks, guys.